Now in the co-main event, probably the most interesting and most anticipated fight of the night, Vasyl Lomachenko going up against Gary Russell and winning a world title in just his third fight. Al.
Amazing. Of course, you know, he had, I think, 6 or 7 fights in the World Series of Boxing, which were under professional rules and they were paid for it. But as he points out, I was fighting amateurs, so I don't consider that. And it's not officially listed as a pro fight. Either way, even if you count those, he's only about 9-10 fights into a pro career. But the official fights in his third fight, and he tied the record of winning a title the quickest of anyone. You know, he had that amazing experience of 12 rounds against Orlando Salido, who came in overweight and outweighed him by maybe 20 pounds. And Salido fought a very rough and probably dirty fight. So, you know, Lomachenko almost won the fight. He came back, hurt Salido with a body shot, and very nearly won it. So that was the fight leading into this. And at the end of the day, in this fight against Gary Russell, Lomachenko showed that he was the best fighter by far that Gary Russell has faced. And Russell, of course, has faced very poor competition in his 24 pro fights. And I don't think was prepared to face a fighter like Lomachenko. And I always said, you know, all the intangibles pointed to Lomachenko winning this fight because, you know, Russell had never been 12 rounds. Russell has brittle hands. Russell had never faced anyone that would take him as far and test him as much as Lomachenko did. And when you looked at all of it, to me, Lomachenko came in as about a 7-5 favorite. It was hard for me to think of how Russell could win this fight. And Gary Russell gave a good effort, and he tried very hard, but Lomachenko had great body shots, he landed good straight left hands, and even showed great boxing skill changing the distance on Russell. And Russell, who has a kind of a one-dimensional attack sometimes, wasn't able to solve it.
No, he also showed a great ring generalship.
Yes.
He had Russell moving back a lot in the fight, and once again, bad scoring, kind of plaguing the night, the 114-114 score in this bout.
Yeah, 2 of the judges had a 116-112 for Lomachenko, and that's fine. You could even have it 9-3, but one of the judges, Lisa Giampe, had it 114-114. And the reason I thought that was egregious is you couldn't find 6 rounds to give, you know, to Gary Russell. That's the part. I just don't know. She had 4 of the first 5 for Gary Russell, and I just don't understand that. But the right man did end up winning the fight, even though it was by a majority decision. And for Lomachenko, it's fascinating. You know, there are a whole bunch of fighters in and around 126 and even up to 130 for him. So it's going to be very interesting. And, you know, even the first man he fought was a very good fighter, Ramirez. So he fought a good fighter, then he fought a very good fighter, rugged, tough fighter, and now he's fought another great amateur who turned pro. So for Lomachenko, he's gotten so much done already in his pro career.
I think at this point, Top Rank needs to kind of hold him down now and give him maybe a couple easy fights because he's had a hard 3 fights already.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. And I'm sure there's somebody in the top 10 that they can give him a defense against, but he doesn't seem to mind. And you know, he doesn't, even though Salido was a rough fight, tonight was a perfect example. He didn't take a lot of punches from Gary Russell. You know, because he is a very good defensive fighter as well. And I'll tell you what, Lomachenko is one of the best body punchers in the lower weight classes that I've seen.
Now, it reminded me of Julio Cesar Chavez and those hooks. It's certainly something to look out for Lomachenko.
I'm here with Billy Dibb, who was the former IBF champion. Billy, your thought on this fight about Lomachenko-Russell?
Man, I thought that Lomachenko, basically should have got a shot at it nearly. You know, I had him up 10 rounds to 2. I didn't feel that Gary Russell was in the fight at all. You know, I thought Lomachenko was putting on the consistent pressure and walking him down. But you know, sometimes the judges can see the fight's funny. I don't know.
I'm not happy about the majority draw. You're not happy about the 2, right?
No, definitely not. You know, given a majority decision, that's close to nearly robbing the kid of a world title fight. So, you know, I felt that he deserved the win, and I thought that it was by wider margins than that.
All right, what do you think Vasyl did right in that fight?
I just thought that he did exactly what he had to do, and was to put pressure on a guy who had really fast hands and break him down, hit him to the body, and used the uppercuts as well. He was fighting a really smart fight, and I just thought that the constant pressure that he on is what prevailed for him in the end.
What do you think Gary Russell did wrong, and what do you think he should have done in the fight?
I just think that Gary Russell needed to take a little bit of a leaf out of Orlando Salido's book and put the pressure back on Lomachenko and not give him his distance. letting a guy who's got such a great amateur pedigree have distance like that is not good for a fighter like Gary Russell.
Do you want to fight Lomachenko?
I mean, I'd love to, but I'm moving up in weight now, so I'm fighting that super featherweight. So I'm actually open to fighting any of the super featherweights out there in the world of boxing, and it all starts for me again on July the 2nd against Alberto Garza in Connecticut on 50 cents promotion. So I mean, that's a stepping stone, and hopefully going to lead me into bigger fights.
All right, Billy, thank you so much, and good luck to you.
Thank you very much. Take care.
All right, Doug, what's your thoughts on Lomachenko, Gary Russell?
You know what? That 114 scorecard was ridiculous. I mean, I like Lisa Giampa, but I think she had a bad night tonight, and I even think the other 2 scorecards were giving Gary Russell Jr. the benefit of the doubt in some close rounds. I had it 10 rounds to 2 for Vasyl Lomachenko. I thought that he neutralized Gary Russell's speed and accuracy with his footwork and his feints, his in and out movement, and I thought he landed the cleaner punches all night. And having said that, I don't think that this was a bad night for Gary Russell. I think he soundly lost on my scorecard, but just like going those 12 rounds with Orlando Salido forced Lomachenko to evolve as a fighter from an amateur to a professional fighter. This fight tonight, these 12 rounds, and this was the first time Gary Russell had to go 12 rounds, I think this fight forced Gary Russell to dig down deep and to show some character, and he did show some character late in the fight. There were some rounds late where he came out the aggressor. In fact, after the first really bad round that he had against Lomachenko in round 5, where he got hurt to the body, he came out the next round and boxed well. Maybe not well enough to win that round, but at least to get some respect from a great amateur boxer and the newly crowned WBO featherweight champion.
Where do both fighters go? Where does Vasyl go? Where does Gary Russell go?
Well, Lomachenko is promoted by Top Rank, which has some pretty good featherweights. They have Nonito Donaire, who just won a belt from that South African, and they have another title holder from Russia, the Mexican-Russian, Evgeny Gradovic.
Yes.
And they've got a killer. They got this dude from Jamaica. Nicholas Walters, who is no joke. He's scary. Those are all real challenging fights for anybody, even a fighter as gifted and intelligent and gutsy as Lomachenko is.
Do you think, what about Rigondeaux?
Yeah, Rigondeaux is also an option. That would pit 2 of the greatest lighter weight amateur boxers in the past 25 years against each other in a championship professional bout.
What are your thoughts on Lomachenko versus Russell today?
It was a good fast fight, man. They were quick, snap. It was exciting, man. It was a good fight.
Robert, are we going to see the Russian-Mexican with Lomachenko?
You know what? Lomachenko's got skills, bro. He's a tough guy.
Jesus Quaishar?
Huh?
Jesus?
Tough dude, man. Lomachenko, get down.
You're a junior featherweight champion. There was a fight today, Vasily Lomachenko against Gary Russell. He just won the WBO featherweight championship. You're only 4 pounds away from the featherweight division. Is it possible that you will be in the featherweight division and against a fighter like Vasily Lomachenko?
Yeah, of course. That's why we came here to watch that fight, because we know that they could be in our next opponent if we move up in weight. So we become excited, and we started that if you pressure Lomachenko, you don't know what to do. So I think if we ever get to fight him, we're gonna do that. Try to go pressure and try to fight him.
One last question. What about Vasyl Lomachenko?
Man, Lomachenko was awesome. Good as advertised. I mean, I was one of those guys who picked Orlando Salido to beat him. I thought Salido would take him into deep water and drown him. And even though he lost that fight, he impressed me because he was stronger down the stretch. And he actually hurt Salido in the last round. And I was thinking to myself, shit, if it was a 15-round fight, the guy with one pro fight would probably knock out the veteran. So obviously Lomachenko was special, but tonight against Gary Russell Jr., he fought a polar opposite in styles. He fought a fellow southpaw who was technical and a counterpuncher with phenomenal hand speed, and I thought he handled him. I thought he won 10 rounds. I've heard people saying, oh, I thought it was a real close fight or whatever, and I couldn't give Gary Russell, there were rounds that were close, but I couldn't give him those rounds because even when he was letting his hands go, he wasn't landing. And that was because of the footwork of Lomachenko, the feints, the footwork, the angles. He neutralized Gary Russell Jr.'s speed and activity.
Where does he go from here? His third pro fight. He's already.
Well, he's with Top Rank, and they've got a decent stable of featherweights. I mean, there's the junior featherweight champ Guillermo Rigondeaux. Imagine that.
Maybe
two of the greatest amateur boxers of the past 25 years fighting a 12-round championship fight as in the pro ranks. That'd be interesting. There's Nonito Donaire. He just won a belt. There's another belt holder, the Mexican-Russian, Evgeny Gradovich. That's a good fight. He comes to fight, always. And then there's the killer from Jamaica. There's Nicholas Walters. These are all awesome fights, man. These are dangerous fights for even a guy as talented as Lomachenko.
And then we got into the Lomachenko-Gary Russell fight, which everybody going in thought it was just a fascinating matchup of two really ultra-talented young fighters, which is unusual these days. And they really didn't disappoint. It was really sort of like a chess match between two really fast, really powerful guys. And in the end, I thought Russell was, maybe the quicker guy. He threw more punches, but Lomachenko clearly was the stronger guy. He landed a higher percentage of his punches, and he came out with a well-deserved victory. An entertaining fight.
Tell me about the fights that you saw.
Lomachenko impressed me.
Why?
You would have won that bet for the first time. You said Lomachenko was going to beat Russell. I knew it was going to be a little difficult fight for him, but I didn't think it was going to look that good. If he had a little bit more power, he would have hurt Russell.
His defense is incredible.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Marcos Villegas here, where Vasyl Lomachenko and Gary Russell Jr. just finished their matchup here at the StubHub Center. And it was a very interesting matchup. Both fighters giving it their all. A lot of ebbs and flows, but Vasyl Lomachenko landed the harder shots, landed some brutal body shots, and got a majority decision over Gary Russell Jr., winning a world title in just his third fight. The scorecards read 114 to 114, 116 to 112, and 116 to 112. And that 114 to 114 card getting a lot of surprise from the fans here, and Top Rank's Carl Moretti putting his hands over his head. A lot of people do not agree with that scorecard, but nevertheless, Vasyl Lomachenko winning a world title here at the StubHub Center.